Welcome back to the family YMCA here in Houston, Texas, as we open up this round of 16. Earlier today, as Nadia Alvarado got past his counterpart, Adam Bernhardt, Emmett Peixote defeated John Bike. So those two advanced to the quarterfinals, and now we've got another round of 16 matchup. Alan, the blonde bombshell Garner versus Pudge. It's John Iglesias, and this is going to be a good matchup. Unfortunately for John, though, he pulled one of the best players on the tour.
Well, it's unfortunate for Alan also, who drew, Dave, I believe, the best qualifier of the group. And these guys have a history, Dave. Last time they played the NYAC Invitational about 9 months ago, where Alan Garner was really pushed by John. It was about a 2-hour and 10-minute match. The blonde bombshell ultimately winning that 21-17, 21-16. But Dave, you're going to see some really exciting handball here. Alan Garner comes in here, the 5th highest ranked player in the event, the number 5 seed. John Iglesias, Dave, is ranked in the top 13 now. After this event, Dave, he'll climb into that top 12 at the very least. And he's one of those guys, Dave, that's rising like a bullet. Came into this season with no ranking, captured 9th place at the US Open, 7th place in Tucson. So he's on his way up. He's, of course, just a couple of points away in Tucson, 1 point from being in the semifinals. So he could very well have been seeded here. But instead, he makes it through the qualifier.
Last year, we had success stories like that when Charlie Shanks started off without a ranking, and just within a couple stops, he no longer had to qualify. But Andy Nett and Luis Cordova breaking into the top 8 and getting invites. They both were invited to Seattle, Washington. And so there is some movement in that Elite 8, as you now see Emmett Peixote, who is new, Chip Morales, that's new, and now you got John Iglesias really knocking on that door, and a guy like Abraham Montijo also knocking on the door to get into that invite situation in Seattle. And that's why this was an important stop for the qualifiers who got that 2-for-1 deal. Now getting into Alaska does help out those that are seeking to make the Players' Championship.
Now, this is a very big event, Dave, not only because this is one of the best events we've ever had, but also you get yourself a free trip to Russia by qualifying here in this event. This is one of those times, Dave, on the Raise Fray Tour, we wish we had 3 channels, because we have 3 really interesting matchups going on here side by side, right next to Alan Garner and John Iglesias. We've got Anthony, the teen heartthrob Celeste, who very nearly qualified yesterday, taking on #1 ranked Sean Lenning. And Dave, a rematch on the 3rd court of last year's stunning upset, Vic Perez taking out Charlie Shanks. And Charlie Shanks, Dave, very apprehensive about drawing Vic Perez. He actually walked in here, he mumbled something in Gaelic and said, well, I know I'm going to pull Vic Perez, so, you know, almost that kind of resigned, woe is me, and he did pull him.
Strange. And I don't believe he hung around last night to see his name being drawn, so he'll probably think that's a conspiracy.
Just getting into conspiracy theories. I know you've been into them for a couple of decades, just getting my feet wet.
Score here is 0-0 as Alan Garner throws in that very first serve.
Good return from John. Here's a big setup. That's the kind of shot John will need to convert, Dave, when Alan throws up a high soft 2-wall fly kill opportunity to John's right. John will have to put that shot away. The only weakness in Alan Garner's game, Dave, and I say that weakness is very slight, is maybe he doesn't move quite as well as some of these top guys, maybe a quarter of a step slower than somebody like Sean Lenning. And sometimes, Dave, you can get away with kills that maybe aren't completely flat against Alan. And a very nice start here from John as he gets a side out and a quick point. Always nice, Dave, as an underdog when you can get in there and get yourself off to a nice start.
1-0, now 2-0. John Iglesias wearing the red qualifier shirt. I saw that ball just over the line. Alan is appealing it, but I also saw it good.
I agree with you.
This is a one-game match to 25, win by 2. We cannot hear the referee's microphone through our headset. But we can hear him over the microphone here. That's kind of coming through our headphones. And you see there's a little bit of controversy here because Alan Garner is looking for line judges.
Now, I believe, Dave, that serve was just barely short, but as a referee, Dave, my policy is if I'm not 100% sure that it's short, I give the server the benefit of the doubt. Now, that instance, Dave, I'm about 99% sure that it was short, but I would have given him that call. Alan Garner, Dave, has a lot of good things going on in his life right now. Not the least of which being Chip Morales just moving to San Antonio and sparring with Alan.
There's that short ball.
It was short. But Alan has had Chip Morales to spar with the last couple of months. Also, his brother coming into town this week and sparring with him. So he's had some high-level competition. And, of course, most importantly, his lovely wife, Erica, due to deliver their first on March 15th. And she looks radiant, Dave, as she's glowing. You talked about John Bike having a lot of support here, this being his third home. This really is Alan Garner's home. He's just a couple hours from his home. He's got a lot of support here. His wife, his dad, his brothers, as well as a lot of fans that have grown up watching him.
There's a GoPro camera angle that we're providing for you here to give you more of a wider angle look of that back wall. Knowing that we are unable to shoot from the glass out due to the smoky look, we're going to give you this Kmart security camera angle, the fisheye GoPro.
And when you can hit the ball as hard as Alan, Dave, that two-wall serve is very effective. It gets behind your opponent because it's got so much pace on it. John qualifying easily yesterday, Dave, but didn't look that sharp to me. He always tells me he hasn't played in 3 months yet. He seems to be at every tournament. This game definitely on the rise. And that's an amazing shot. Don't really understand that serve, Dave. Right in Alan Garner's wheelhouse. Put the ball in a tee for him. Alan's one of those guys, Dave, a lot like Sean Lenning. If you leave anything off the side wall, it's a setup. It doesn't matter how deep it is or to what hand. You have to drive the ball down the walls, take advantage of whatever opportunities you get against top guys like Alan and Sean.
Alan Garner serving here at 2-2 against Iglesias. This match started about 10 minutes late.
Who's fined in that instance, Dave? Is that the referee or the players?
Fined $35 for this.
Wow.
The previous match ended with 15 minutes before the start time, and the referee allowed the players to warm up for 25 minutes.
Well, in John's defense, he had a gentleman tying his shoes for 6 minutes outside. John's last singles tournament, Dave, not a WPH race for a event, but it was the Milwaukee Classic in early December where he lost a 2.5-hour match to Emmett Peugeot. That was 2 games, Dave, 2.5 hours. I know that we were texting back and forth with updates. An hour and a half into the match, they were still in the first game.
I ordered pizza twice. That's how long it took. As we go pro here, see John Iglesias in the back. John Bike calling a foot fault, front foot from Alan Garner. See our Referee is name dropping me as I've been name dropping him.
Had a chance, Dave, to have dinner with the referee last night, as well as another living legend, Danny Bell. It's just incredible how humble John Bike is. He's almost too humble. You want him to talk about some of his great memories and some of his great accomplishments, but
he downplays them so much.
Right, and it deprives us as fans of him of really hearing and understanding.
Sitting at that dinner table with you, I found myself almost angry at him for not opening up. Asked him a question that I felt was a pretty kind of a fun question to ask, and that is, who had the most tournament wins in pro player history? Thinking that, oh, it's easy, you know, Danny Bell or a Naughty Senior, or, you know, some of the players that have played a long time, or John Bike himself. And John really just tried to close the conversation quickly. That was a nice pass shot right there from John Iglesias.
John's one of those guys, Dave, that has to control the front court to win matches against these top guys. Now, Alan Garner can actually win matches from the backcourt. He's got a great ceiling game, and he can hit flat rollouts with either hand from the deep court. And Dave, Alan Garner has been one of the most successful players on the tour when he's played, but he missed one stop last year. He's going to miss at least the next 2 stops, being Alaska and Denver, due to the upcoming birth of his daughter. So even, Dave, if he wins this event, when he comes back, he still won't be in that top 4. And that makes it tough not only on him, but also the other guys who draw this guy in the first round, like John Iglesias, who really is a top 3 level player. But just doesn't have the ability to travel to all these events.
Serving 5.
I'm surprised, Dave, that John is having a hard time keeping his serve off the back wall, because these courts are not that lively. And John is just overhitting his serve. You can see his serve is actually bouncing after the restraining line, which means he's missing his spot by 5 to 6 feet. That serve should be landing no more than 6 inches past the short line. You see it again there.
5, serving 5.
The score here is tied up 5-5. Sean Linning and Anthony Celesto on that side court also tied at 5.
No, I believe it's 15-14 Celesto at halftime.
5, serving 5.
Celesto gave me the way we play in practice when you call 15-5. So gave me the 5, and
Second
I took it as the actual 5, but he meant 15. I see, it's halftime. So Celesto leading Sean Linning at half. We have a loss of the back wall here, and therefore we go with the GoPro camera to give you the wide angle look so you can see more of that back wall.
It was one of the worst swings I've ever seen Alan Garner make off the back wall, who's normally as smooth and fluid as you can get off the back wall. That time just did not have his feet in a good spot.
Point.
And John Iglesias, Dave, just sticks his hand out, but Alan hit that so hard that John's hand, literally like a paddle, just absorbed the power, and the ball rolled out right in front of Alan. Very sloppy play
Alan's
here
gonna
in
have to be in good shape, because that's what John does to you, Dave. He's a fighter in there, and there's going to be a replay, but he's scrappy, and he keeps the plays alive, and he also has a lot of power, so he's going to be pushing you around as much as he runs around. And you saw that at the last pro stop in Tucson, where
Serving 5.
I'm sure you were exhausted after that match, even though it was only a 25-point match.
Well, John applies a lot of pressure, so you never really have a chance to relax. He's always cutting every ball off, so he's taking time away from you. really plays an up-tempo pace throughout the entire match. He's one of those guys, Dave, that looks like he's tired, but he never really seems to play like he's tired. His level of play never changes, so psychologically it's difficult for an opponent playing a guy that you think might be on the ropes, but he's really not. Something else to consider, Dave, is Alan Garner's dad is here watching. Jim Garner, Dave, one of the great supporters of handball, but seems to make Alan a little bit nervous when he watches. Alan just seems a little bit
anxious. In the old
anxious.
days, certainly, it was sort of Alan's kryptonite. And we'll see now as Alan becomes a family man here, has a child on the way, his wife is here, that might offset whatever that issue is with having his pops.
Well, I can say, Dave, I've had a child and I'm a lot older than Alan, and I still have that anxiety. In fact, I play, Dave, at 6 or 7 in the morning so that my dad doesn't know I'm playing at home. So he's not there watching, because if I'm playing at any other time, he will be there watching, judging.
Serving 6.
I know, Dave, your dad would watch you play baseball from about 300 feet behind the center field fence.
I never could understand it. I never felt like I could talk to him about it. So I decided to try to send baseballs through his window of his car. So I just got into the batting cage and practiced till I would pull muscles hitting home runs. And that would be the closest I could say, well, if you're not going to come here and sit in the stands, I'm going to hit a ball to where you're at. That was my motivation. But I don't understand now, as a father, as you're now raising, you're going to raise your child here. Are you going to do the things that my dad would do to me? Is that I'd hit a great kill shot and I'd look back and he'd purposely turn away and act like he didn't see it? Will you be doing that to your child?
Well, my dad is sort of the opposite, where if I hit a great kill shot, he looks right at me, he's fist pumping and yelling. But once I kind of want him to look at me when I start losing, he's obsessed with his phone. He can't take his eyes off that phone, yet he's in the front row.
You're watching the Race for 8 season number 2 tour, stop number 3 in Houston, Texas. After this one, we're going to go to Anchorage, Alaska. That'll be February 14th through the 16th. Now, they're not going to have an adjacent tournament alongside this, Dave, which means for those that want to come from out of town, you're simply coming to watch some amazing handball and participate in more of a fun day type atmosphere. Also, the pros will get on the court and do some clinics with those players from out of town, and it'll be a fun, festive type of event, because they certainly know how to put on their tournaments there at the Midtown Athletic Club in Anchorage, Alaska. That's going to be February 14th and 16th. There will be a qualifier on Thursday the 14th, so if you want to try to get onto the Pro Tour, there will be at least one space available for you. We're going to have a different tour format for Alaska, but it's certainly going to be absolutely amazing. Already some of the top players in the world will be there.
Well, the only guy, Dave, in this top 12 that
won't
is
make
not
it
confirmed is Alan.
Yeah.
That's right. We will see, I believe, Dave, John Iglesias there. Of course, he'll enter 8 hours before the tournament actually starts.
It's a good rally going on here.
An amazing catch from John.
John's one of those players where you don't want to face him when you're one of the top elite players pulling a blind draw. He's just a guy that you don't want to face. Look at how much Alan Garner has to work here.
This, Dave, is already the 43rd shot of the rally.
After Anchorage, Alaska, we're going to go to Denver, Colorado at the DAC. That'll be March 7th through the 10th, and the return of the senior tour, as well as the qualifier on that leading day.
8. Nope, 10 seconds, dude. 8, serving 6.
And Alan, Dave, is giving John a lot of setups. I've always felt like, Dave, the strength of Alan's game was how few opportunities he actually gave you. I think he's one of the top players that gives you the least amount of setups. But here, Dave, he's giving John opportunities in virtually every rally. John just not capitalizing at all. you know, Dave, you play Sean Lenning or Luis Moreno, they're so phenomenal, but you feel like you have opportunities. Now, of course, they make great gets, and they have great legs, but at the same time, you have chances to shoot the ball. I've played Allen a number of times, and you feel like, when am I ever going to get a chance to step into a ball and drive it in the corner?
There is a quick timeout here on the show court. One game match to 25. You win by 2. This is the round of 16 coming up after this one. As we said earlier, going to catch Andy Nett and Abraham Montijo. It's a rematch of the World Handball Championships. Both of those players flew to Ireland, and they end up facing each other in the first round, with Andy Nett defeating Abraham Montijo in 2 fairly simple games for Andy Nett. So Montijo will have a rematch. Garner will go up against, Aaron Garner, brother of Alan, will go up against Chip Morales at 12 o'clock, and then the tour continues at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with the round of 8, with Dave Fink versus either Iglesias or Garner here. As we prepare for the big show, the Players' Championship, Seattle, Washington, May 3rd through the 5th. Now, technically, it's only a 2-day event, but that 5th day, Sunday, is sort of a tip around. If you're one of the sponsors, you get to play with the pro players.
Well, Dave, when you talk about the Super Bowl, it's really a week-long event. The game is just on one day, but Seattle's very much like that, Dave. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance that comes with playing an event like that. All of it very exciting for the players.
9 serving 6.
Alan Garner starting to get a couple-point lead here. A lot of side outs. That's a screen ball.
It was hard, Dave, as tournament, the court director, to determine what match to actually put on this show court at 10 a.m. because you've got a rematch with Vic Perez and Charlie Shanks.
Well, the way it is the true top 12 are the ones on the show courts.
Okay.
And the 1 through 4 seed matchups, the blind draw, the qualifier losers, I should say, the repay in, as our correspondent said, those guys are on the side courts, and the real true top 12 gets the show courts. I mean, it only stands to reason, since John Iglesias qualified, he should be on the show court. Anthony Celesto and Vic Perez, they were qualifier losers. They don't get the show court because of those losses.
Okay.
And that's the reason why they're there, and we see this one here. Now, Nadi Alvarado did face a qualifier loser in Adam Bernhardt earlier this morning, but that's because of a injury that John Bike had. And for the viewers, we decided to make that flip. I say we, I should say they. But I'm taking ownership in this.
6 serving 9.
John Iglesias now qualifying in back-to-back tournaments with the WPH. His Tucson tournament was almost a Cinderella story. 1 point away from making some pretty big headlines there. As he would have made it to the semifinals after qualifying, that would have been the first time.
Serving 6.
Sean Lenning and Anthony Celesto, very exciting match. You're talking about those side matches. Celesto is the 16 seed. Sean Lenning is the number 1 seed. He won Tucson. Sean is down 21-16 right now. And I think, Dave, if you want to go over or up in the top and do some reporting on that match, we can give you the handheld microphone. You go over there and do that if you'd like.
Point. No, you aren't.
Now you see Iglesias trying to argue this avoidable hinder call, and it was clear that he didn't even try to get out of the way. And Yogi then gives the peace bow to John Bike.
It sounds like it's not okay. Score is 10 serving 6.
10-6 is the score. Dave Fink will be going up to the balcony here to catch the score and the action between Anthony Celesto and Sean Lenning. This could be our first upset of a round of 1 through 4 player.
Good shot. Point.
Now it looks like John Iglesias just gassed there at the very end.
Serving 6. Point. Serving 6.
And a nice diving paddle right there from John Iglesias. Gets the side out.
He wet. Huh? Okay, we have a 2-minute glove change. Iglesias coming in at 6:13. Yeah, your glove's okay.
It is a 2-minute glove change, and
you're welcome.
Dave, Anthony just hitting a flat rollout with his left hand from 38 feet off a Sean Lenning rocket serve. And Anthony, Dave, looks really good right now.
Dave, do you have the score?
A really good rally here, Dave. Anthony with a slight opening here. Huge setup here for Anthony. This will be for the 22nd point, Dave, and he puts a ball into the floor from in front of the foot fault line, Dave. One of those shots that hits the front wall, back wall. A slight hand air. And this has been Anthony's problem, Dave. He's, I believe, right there, Dave, with any of these players, but he just seems to get really tight at the end of games. And he'll have to overcome that here. Struggled with that yesterday against John Bike. Now struggling once again here. He's lost a lot of really close matches on the Race for A Tour. And Sean, Dave, just ripped a 2.5-foot natural that bounced at 90 degrees into the left side wall, right into Anthony's stomach. Now all of a sudden Anthony led 21-16. It's now 21-21. And Dave, this is what Sean does. He just ratchets up the intensity and the power when he needs it. And Anthony with another hand air there off a pretty good opportunity on a Sean Lenning second serve. Now Sean leads 22-21
right now from Dave Fink, who's courtside watching the Celesto Lenning match. And we'll continue with Dave Fink. Dave Fink is catching the action on the side court.
Great rally there, Dave. 23 shots. Anthony flips a Sean Lenning pass shot into the back wall. Sean runs in, takes that off the front wall with the downspin. And now he's got 23. Anthony with an amazing cross-court reverse pass. Just
okay,
out of
we'll
Sean
break
Lenning's
away from
reach,
Dave Fink for this moment as he gives us continued coverage on that second court. We'll go back live here as we get ready for halftime between Alan Garner and John Iglesias. Dave Fink is catching the action with Anthony Celesto, who is the 16th seed, and Sean Lenning, who's the #1 seed in this tournament, all tied up at 21 at the moment over there on that side court. Anthony Celesto is serving, but here on this one, it's Alan Garner.
Unbelievable shot there from Anthony.
Good shot, side out.
Alan Garner serving here.
Serving 6.
It's just 1 point away from making halftime. Then we'll go back to Dave Fink, who is capturing play-by-play without video on the side court. And there it is. Alan Garner gets that 15th point here, and we'll take a 3-minute break. No, is it 14? Sorry.
14, serving 6. Score is
And the halftime is
15-6.
officially called. Let's go over to Dave Fink, who's given us coverage of that side court action. Believe it or not, I believe it's also a timeout over there.
Dave, anybody's match right now. Anthony could make history here, Dave, as the first ever lucky loser to advance to the round of 8. Sean Lenning, Dave, sitting Indian style in the court right now. I don't know if he's played handball since the Tucson event that he won. He's gasping for air, trying to find that inner chi to stay relaxed here. Sean is 3 great Anthony Celesto shots from being knocked out of this tournament in the first round. Remember, Sean Lenning has never lost in the race for 8 to anyone except for Luis Moreno. Did lose to a couple of Irish guys at the U.S. Open, but in a traditional race event. And Anthony with an ace serve, Dave, in a fist pump. Score now tied at 23. Anthony went behind himself to the left there, caught the left crack about 6 inches past the short line. He tries to go for the same serve. This time it sits up. And Sean's got a big back wall set up here. And now Sean puts a shot into the floor. Anthony now with 24.
Anthony Celesto
Match
serving
now
here
for Anthony
to defeat
Celesto,
Sean Lenning in this opening round.
And he gets the crack, and Anthony gets it.
Wow.
Dave, Anthony has taken out Sean Lenning, 25-23.
Unbelievable. The qualifier loser, Anthony Celesto, takes out
in the history of the race
Sean
for
Lenning.
8, Dave, but in the history of pro handball, Dave, we're going to get a chance to talk to Anthony. Anthony, absolutely unbelievable victory there. I mean, I don't know what to say. What are you feeling right now?
Out of breath, just excited. I don't know, really. I think he gave me a couple points, to be honest with you. He played not to his potential, I know that, but I think I played pretty damn well.
Well, I don't see that at all. Anthony, you came in trailing 21-23 after having a pretty big lead. I've seen you play so many matches. Where did you find that inner strength to come back and win those last 4 points?
Honestly, I just tried to play it relaxed as I could because I had nothing to lose. He's the 1 seed going in. I'm the 16 seed. What do I have to lose? Go, go, go. Try to make my aces, try to shoot the ball as much as I can, and it fell my way, so pretty good.
Well, Anthony, this win now puts you into Alaska after that, very disappointing defeat yesterday, but now you have arrived. I mean, you are now one of the top players in this sport. You'll be playing again later today. You'll face the winner of Aaron Garner and Chip Morales. I mean, this tournament really opening up for you now, Anthony. I mean, what are you thinking about the rest of this event?
I just got to take one game at a time, and now it's only to 25, so I got to put it all on the line. Honestly, like I said, I have nothing to lose, so go balls to the walls and go big or go home, right? Everything's bigger in Texas.
Well, Anthony, thank you very much. We're going to let you get some rest and enjoy this victory. Absolutely unbelievable, Dave. Anthony's shaking. I'm shaking. Just an amazing performance, Dave, and we'll be seeing him later today.
Well, thank you for that coverage, Dave, as we go back to this court here. Not only did Anthony get that victory over Sean, but he also scores a huge payday compared to what he would have gotten. We're talking about a $1,000 swing almost.
Not to mention, Dave, that he's now into Alaska.
I guess that would be that he's invited to Alaska. I mean, it's not part of the rule, but I guess it.
Well, we didn't anticipate what could happen if a lucky loser came in and knocked out a top 4 player. Now, Dave, I played Anthony Celesto at the last event, and I told you, this guy has serious game. This guy's got 2 great hands, amazing speed, and he's got offense. The only thing that's held him back, Dave, up to this point is the inability to close. And now, Dave, he's closed on Sean Lenning. If you can do that, there's really no stopping you.
Back here, though, we've got the crowd now shuffling over from that Celesto Lenning match to catch the Iglesias Alan Garner second half after John playing pretty strong, trailing 6-7, and Allen went on this 8-point run there at the very end during all that drama that took place. They had a 3-minute break for halftime, and both those players came over and watched the last couple shots of that winning match as well.
Side out.
Well, Dave, Anthony's saying he's so humble that maybe Sean gave him a few points. I can tell you, Dave, sitting courtside, Sean did not give him anything.
15.
Anthony dug out a couple of incredible crack serves from Sean Lenning, then came in and hit a couple of crack serves of his own, as well as a couple of left-hand flat rollouts. And David shows you the depth that we have now in pro handball.
Very nice.
And this tour has
Point.
motivated
You
so
check
many
where you're
young
down.
guys,
You
Dave,
look dry, but
to take that next
to
step.
your right, you were way
And Dave,
down.
you
I
think
don't know.
about that draw in the top half.
You look dry,
Sean
though.
Lenning now eliminated. That really opens the way for any of those players,
point.
Dave, to make it to the finals. You have to think the winner of the Emmett
7, serving
Peugeot
15.
Nadi Alvarado match, facing a guy that won't be ranked higher than
Yeah.
number 5 in the semifinals.
Well, he wasn't
15,
even,
serving 7.
Anthony Celesto in the qualifier wasn't even top 5 seed, was he?
Side out.
No, he was a number 2 seed. So he was anywhere in that 5 to 8 range in the
7,
qualifier.
serving
And there was some
15.
talk, Dave, of maybe he should have been a number 3 seed.
Downstairs,
Anthony,
they called
Dave,
it
has
short.
played 3 of the most dramatic
Ball
matches
stands.
I think I've seen
Second serve.
in the last 10 years in this event. All 3 matches he's played, Dave, has had some of the most incredible drama that I've ever seen. Starting with his win over Shorty Ruiz, his cramping loss to
Replay that, replay.
John Bike, and now this comeback win against Sean Lenning.
Yeah.
Dave, I had breakfast with
I
Anthony
would've
this
had a hard
morning,
time
and I
with that
said,
one. It didn't seem to bother
you know,
him,
this
though.
draw has really opened up for
7,
Aaron
serving
Garner.
15.
Aaron Garner's facing Chip, so he'll be playing Sean. He said, well, I'm playing Sean. I had actually forgotten. And this
Side
is
out.
sloppy handball here from John Iglesias, Dave, who's now just in complete
Yeah,
retrieval
towel
mode.
outside
He's
the
not
court now. When you get it, though, toss it back up here.
being aggressive.
Someone took it out with
and
him in
it's
timeout.
easier said than done to be aggressive against Alan Garner, but he's just allowing Alan to dictate everything. You see John just scrambling, running side to side.
A little further up, mostly. Unless you see. All right.
And now, Dave, I'll ask you as the part of the pro player committee,
Yeah. Close.
can Sean Lenning now play in that
So.
9 through 12 playoff? Because the lucky losers lose and they're out. Sean Lenning, though, not a lucky loser, so does he now make a 5-person 9 through 12 playoff?
Here.
I think
I'm
we've
refereeing
discussed
right
this
now. Let me
before, and
concentrate.
the answer was always a yes. So
I just wanted
I
you
believe
to announce
that
that
was
to the crowd,
Garner
Okay.
serving
to the
15,
viewers.
serving 7.
Dave, I'm actually still shaking right now from that unbelievable upset. It gets me to thinking, Dave, and this will be our poll question for the day. What's the biggest upset you've ever seen in sports? Could be any sport. Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson.
Point.
Yeah, perhaps.
16, serving
The 1960 Pittsburgh Pirates defeating the New York Yankees in the World Series, despite being outscored by
7. Side out.
40 runs in that series.
7,
It's kind of a
serving
strange
16.
situation for Anthony Celesto because he technically has never qualified on the Pro Tour, but he's now done something that no other qualifier, I mean, some other qualifiers have really not done. Those elite qualifiers, he put himself right into that same plateau as them. And I think that for Anthony,
Hold it.
this is probably a greater feeling than even qualifying
Called
and
his
doing
second
this.
shot at Hinder.
I mean, this is a huge upset for him, and I guess you could actually technically say he's now qualified because this is that second chance qualifier. You know, the buy back in or the play back in qualifier.
Well, he's made history on a number of levels here today, Dave. As you said, he's never actually qualified, but now he's into the round of 8. Beat the #1 ranked player in the world.
7, serving 16. Side out. 16, serving 7.
Allen in complete control here.
Point.
It's interesting, Dave, you take a replay of that very last shot. John Iglesias gives Allen a huge back wall setup, but he didn't even look back to find the ball. He just stared at the
17,
front wall there. I
serving
haven't
7.
seen a pro player not look back. You see that a lot at the club level, guys just staring at the front wall. Allen with a great get, goes down to one knee.
Side out.
And John also diving, that time puts it away with a shovel left-hand kill.
You're talking about Sean Linning having the ability to play into that 9 through 12 playoff. I doubt he even is thinking about that at the moment. But the bigger thing is Sean Linning's cash.
Keep it moving.
He was set to have a big payday there in the round of 16 if he wins this match. Now he is set to get the money that Anthony would have received if he would have lost to Sean.
Well, I don't actually think that's true, because we decided that since he's not a lucky loser, he would still get 11th place money. I have that email. I'll actually just forward that to you.
It just doesn't feel right, though, when it really happens in
coming
real
back
life.
to score
Well,
does
you
it?
can't blame
serving
Sean
17.
because, hey, he lost the match. It's not his fault. He lost to he can't determine who he plays. I mean, you have an off day. Shouldn't be punished more so because you lost to a lucky loser.
But see, that was that determination happened before we went through the
17,
full
serving
payment
7.
of the round of 16. That was determined on somebody not having pay in that round. As you recall, back in Tucson when we had the format, the 13 through 16 were not getting paid. Therefore, that's why that determination was made. They would have gotten paid at this tournament. There is a difference. Sean
Side
will be
out.
getting that $350 and not the big payday.
Wow.
Because there is money on the line for that match.
But, okay, so how is it that if Alan Garner was to lose this match, he's still going to get his $650? But since Sean Lenning loses his match, which is also his
17.
first round, he only gets $350. That, to me,
Punishment for
oh, it's
losing
punishment.
to a
Okay.
round of
Okay.
to a
Well, I just
16
wanted to
seed.
hear you say it. Okay.
8, serving 17.
And Dave, this match, a very big letdown to this point, is I think we both expected a real battle, but unfortunately for John, hasn't been sharp, and he's,
9, serving 17.
as you can see, losing pretty badly here.
Point.
And maybe John, Dave, finding a spark here. He's now scored 3 consecutive points. That's the first time in this match he's done that.
10, serving 17. Side out.
Really surprised, Dave, that John serves Allen that 2-wall serve that comes around to Allen's right hand off the back
17,
wall.
serving 10.
That's pretty much automatic for Alan Garner, Dave.
For those that just tuned in, we're giving you this GoPro camera angle so you can see the back wall. Our cameras down on the floor are just really unable to look through this smoky
Point.
back glass. That
And no,
is-
Dave, it's not a bar room. It's actually smoky because of the white dots that are intended to make it easier for the
18,
players
serving
inside
10.
the court to see.
we have a white balance issue and manual focus in and out. So we decided to put the GoPro up here so you can see what is going on in the back area. Now that's a great camera angle as well, with Linda Manning on top of that one. There's that power 2-wall pass from Alan Garner. Unbelievable shot, Dave.
Serving 10.
You heard the score there, 19 to 10.
Short.
Important for Allen to come in after John had just scored 3 points in a row and get himself back on the
Second
scoreboard.
serve.
Just quickly eliminated any momentum that
Wet.
John had built. Now Allen just 6 points from advancing to the round of 8.
watching you.
You know, Dave, you can do all the practicing and play all the high-level sparring
No, Jimmy.
matches that you can, but when you get into a tournament, you just never know exactly what's going to happen. And it's not necessarily that you're nervous or, you know, over-prepared. It's just,
Second serve.
it's different.
How, Dave, will the rankings look here, as it is clear that Sean Lenning, who was pretty much positioning
Yes, we're
himself
gonna
to
have a
take over the #1 spot in the
2-minute glove
rankings,
change.
has
Score is 20,
pretty much
serving
hurt himself
10.
here as we go into a timeout at 20-10. Alan Garner serving.
Well, Dave, quickly, Luis Moreno coming into this event had 79 points. Sean had 78. Luis Moreno not playing in this event, also losing 16 points from Fresno of last year in Atlanta, where he had a semifinal finish and a final finish. Sean Lenning losing also 16 points, I believe. I don't have it in front of me, Dave, but Sean Lenning picking up points here. So if Sean Lenning just picks up 1.25 points here, he becomes the #1 ranked pro. Now, if he doesn't play in that 9 through 12 playoff, does he still get 1.25 points, or does he get 0.25 points like a qualifier lucky loser would get? That's something that I guess we need to discuss. Could very well be Luis Moreno still retaining that #1 ranking, even though it looked like mathematically there was no way that Sean Lenning would not become the #1 ranked player after this round. But we'll have to get out the spreadsheet and crunch the numbers. Right now, I'd say Sean Lenning probably will still become that #1 ranked player.
Now, but could there be a player that is possibly number 3 or 4
No.
that have a chance to get somewhat close to these guys? Could Charlie Shanks now have, off the ranking discussion, could he have the best chance to win his first pro stop? He's on the bottom bracket as the #2 seed.
Well,
here.
if you're speaking subjectively, does he have a chance to win the pro stop? Of course, he does. He does not have the ability to become the #1 ranked player, though, after this event. He won't have enough points, even if he does win this event, to become the #1 player. We're going to see the players come a lot closer together. Charlie Shanks will now be within a 1 tournament shouting distance of becoming that #1 ranked player in Alaska, which wouldn't have been possible had Sean Lenning won this match today and gone on in advance in this tournament.
So what we will see, there is no denying this, we will see an upper bracket semifinalist. We'll actually see a finalist come from that upper bracket that will either be Emmett Peixoto, Nadi Alvarado, Chip Morales, Aaron Garner, or Anthony Celesto. That will go up against somebody in the bottom. So we're going to see one of those guys in the finals. The odds say it's either going to be Nadi Alvarado or Emmett Peixoto, but you can't discount what you've seen. We've seen Cinderella stories in all other sports, to include handball, where somebody gets hot, they carry that in. Anthony Celesto could very well win his next round match. The matchup seems like they could work on paper. Chip Morales, who is the 8th seed, is going up against Aaron Garner, the 9th seed. That's going to be a huge match. You never know what's going to come out of that. So
well, you have to like Dave Anthony's chances in his quarterfinals. If his body bounces back from that great win, and I think he'll have enough adrenaline to be able to bounce back. And certainly Chip or Aaron is a good matchup for Anthony. But when you beat Sean Lenning, who isn't a good matchup for you?
That's a good point.
I think, David, just makes the tour even more exciting when you have young guys coming in and making these unbelievable upsets. There's a buzz, Dave, here in this facility. And you've got people, Dave, coming off their treadmills and off the track and the hot yoga rooms. And now they're spending the rest of their day here.
If you just tuned in, Anthony Celesto took down Sean Lenning.
21,
number 16 seed
10.
defeated the #1 seed, and now will face either Chip Morales or Aaron Garner later this afternoon. There's a huge upset and a lot of buzz going on here in the city. That score was 25-23, with Lenning going up 23-21, and Anthony outscoring him 4-0 to end that game with a couple cracked serves out of those 4 points, Dave, and one to actually end the match.
Well, Dave, when it looked like Sean Lenning was ready to finally put his foot down and put Anthony away. Sean hit a crack serve to the left, Dave, that
22,
looked like
serving
it was
10.
the 24th point, but Anthony somehow dug that ball out, flipped it high enough so Sean couldn't shoot the return. Anthony wins that rally, comes in and scores 4 consecutive points. And Dave, will this loss be what motivates Sean Lanning to sort of dedicate himself to playing not just hard at the tournaments, but training between tournaments? We know we hear that he doesn't play that much between
10,
events.
serving
Maybe this will
22.
change that. Maybe it'll go the other way. You don't know.
Point. Eleven, serving 22. Side out.
I can see, Dave, why you're so happy. I wish I just came to these events and announced. Just
22, serving 11.
incredible to take in this action. Of course, Dave, you're not only an announcer, now you're a pro senior player coming off a big win against Danny Bell. Now you'll be challenging Nadi Alvarado, I believe, tonight.
11, serving 22.
You'll be doing it with your dress pants and your WPH jacket on.
Side
Well,
out.
Nadi is so good, I
that's
might
enough for the
have
potty
to
mouth,
take
guys.
that jacket off.
Well,
Last
you'll
night
be
I
fine
played
because I know that you don't have any WPH shirts. You'll have to
Him
wear your
too.
blazer, or it'll be a $35
We
fine.
have to curse after every rally.
Well, I am one of the best fully clothed players of recent past discretion.
No. I'm just saying.
Alan Garner serving here game 1. It's actually match 1 because
22,
it's a 1-game
serving 11.
match to 25, win by 2. Almost a screen serve. Alan hits that ball so hard it just
Side
gets
out.
over the short line, and Anthony Celestino, John Iglesias getting that side out, serving 11 to 22. Anthony Celestino on my mind here as
11, serving 22.
I am assuming is back at his hotel room icing and getting ready for later this afternoon. This isn't something that he's
Second serve.
got into the groove with, Dave, of knowing how the pros get ready for the next match. I figured I'd see Anthony hanging out reffing some matches here, but now I think it's serious time here in the tournament. He has a real, true, legitimate chance to defeat
12, serving
the next
22.
round of players that he's going to play, because himself, Chip Morales, and Aaron Garner are
Point.
somewhat on a slope,
Well,
a plateau.
Anthony now
that's-
has so much confidence. You have to think, Dave, after beating Sean Lanning, that he's going to come into that next match feeling like he's a favorite.
13, serving 22.
Anthony, Dave, is one of those guys, Dave, that's got so much charisma. He's such a nice young man. Walked into the facility with him today, Dave, and it was
Look
as
at
though
this.
he was the mayor of this facility. He was shaking hands, kissing babies.
We have to look at the replay here as we continue to talk
It's
about the
behind you, and
greatness
I
of
can see
Anthony
where it
Celestino
starts.
on that
Right at your left foot now.
dive back and forth
Yeah, you got a good. There's a big
style
one
of
there.
play between both players. You don't see Alan Garner go down to the ground very often. Look at Alan doing a power pass dive. But before that, even when Anthony Celestino dove, when John Iglesias dove, you see the whole play kind of develop here as John Iglesias goes down here with a swiping left hand. Alan down on one knee, swipes it himself, but hits it about 80 miles an hour. There's a lot of power on that dive from Alan Garner.
Well, you know, he was off his feet, but he had all of his momentum going forward. He's a very strong guy, about 205 pounds. He's got amazing wrist snap, so he doesn't need to
13,
necessarily be set
serving
to hit the ball
22.
hard.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's backwards.
John Bike calling the wrong score. Now 22 to 13.
I didn't have the
And
card.
Dave, this
flip.
match has not been all that close, but we're now 50 minutes into this
22.
match, and it's still not over.
Serving 13.
Well, you recall they did start the match 10 minutes late, so it's only 40 minutes.
Now, hence 50 minutes, because
That's right.
Side out.
I can help you with that math.
Sorry about that. I took off 20 minutes. This is the reason why John Bike will be fined $35 for his late start here.
Dave, you think these guys aren't serious about this event?
22.
Abraham Montijo has been warming up for an hour on the side court for his upcoming match. Andy Nett's been warming up for an hour and a half on that side court. That's a rematch,
Second
Dave, of
serve.
a very one-sided match from the World Championships.
Side out.
Dave, you see the great Bob Kaluta
22, serving 13.
walking by.
Bob Kaluta from New Orleans.
We call it New Orleans here. Bob putting on one of the very first WPH Pro stops, 2009. I know everyone had a great time at that event, Dave. The filming from that event was just absolutely incredible.
I think.
Did you tell Jimmy to quit playing with our camera up there? Because we're actually using it, and he's our GoPro camera. He's moving our GoPro camera while he's standing on top of our GoPro camera right now. He has to get away from it.
Okay, sorry. A little bit of conversation here. If we're able to turn up the referee's microphone, we could hear a little bit more about what's going on the court.
Yeah,
I haven't
must be
been able to
something
really
there.
hear. I'm not sure if you can hear.
No.
Yeah, I didn't know to stop it or not. It's that. But you could have.
Don't really know what the talk is here. Allen said he was obstructed by John, and you see a lot of bantering with the referee.
I thought John was arguing for a hinder call there.
I don't think you were watching right when it bounced. I saw his reaction. I didn't particularly notice
I didn't
the
think
bounce.
it was a hinder.
Thought he didn't know where it was going. I thought it was a hook.
If we're able to look at the replay, maybe we could figure out what they're talking
I believe
about.
it was the very last shot of that rally where John's asking for a hinder or a screen. Have to go back just a little bit more.
So that's a replay, and the score is 22, serving 13.
Well, that was a good way of going back. Don't really see what John was complaining about there, but it was a replay. Now Alan Garner serving at 22 to 13.
John Iglesias, known for his comebacks. Remember, trailed 24-18 in the last event before taking the lead 25-24.
Wow. Unbelievable gets. Allen is able to get that one, but not to the front wall, and the crowd likes it. And we'll take a look at the replay on that if we have it available, because I believe they're going to clean the floor here. That'll give us time to look at some pretty good gets here. And that's what I'm telling you about the scrappiness of John Iglesias. He just can wear you down. Alan Garner almost had to leave his feet there. I thought that ball right there that John was able to get back was very difficult.
Yeah.
Allen does that little flip over to the right.
To the floor anyway.
Allen could have got more creative with that last shot. Instead, thought he can flip it back and was unable to get it to the front court. Allen's being pressed here.
John asking people in the crowd if he can borrow a shirt. Now he's going to borrow Andy Nett's shirt, who's about 6'4". John listed, Dave, at 5'4". That might be a little bit generous, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Be like a dress.
He's going to look like Maria Sharapova out there. Very nice of Andy, Dave, to loan John a shirt.
Well, Andy got those shirts from the World Championships back in Tucson. I opened up a closet drawer and saw this whole slew of Andy Nett shirts that we had there from the World Championships that he did not receive. So,
well, Andy will literally give you the shirt off his back. He just did. He literally proved it. He
John Iglesias looks like he's wearing a tent.
Perhaps John should consider maybe packing more than one shirt for a tournament. Is that?
Score is actually 14, serving 22.
There's some things, Dave, that John didn't learn at the rookie seminar here on the Race for 8. Dave, I know that we have all the rookies
15,
in at the beginning of each season. John had an unexcused absence from that seminar. We teach things like tying your shoes, bringing more than one shirt to a tournament, bringing more than one pair of gloves to a tournament. Thus far, in the last 2 events, Dave, he's failed on all those
16,
counts. You think that it's
22.
easy. There's also lessons on how to book a flight, how to book a hotel room, how to get from the airport to your hotel. These are all things, Dave, that are covered that if you're not at the seminar, you don't know.
Okay, the score is now 17, serving 22.
You heard the score there.
Point.
And now Alan Garner totally falling apart here. John has scored 7 consecutive points, hasn't even
18,
done much.
22.
Alan's made a number of errors, and this is where John Iglesias is dangerous, Dave, because his game seems to pick up as he's down late in games.
Side out.
You remember against Andy Nett when John tried to qualify in Tucson of 2011, Andy Nett led 24-17. John came all the way back to 22. Looked like he was going to come back and maybe win that match.
Point.
And now Allen gets himself back on track. A big point there for Allen.
That's a huge point. Allen now 2 points away from advancing.
18.
Remember, Allen got a scare in Salt Lake City against Vic Perez in an opening round last year, and there's his 24th point.
He was taken to overtime in game number 1 of that match against Vic Perez.
The shot made it.
We'll see the replay of that, Dave. It did not look like it made it to me. Allen didn't even try for it. Let's take a look here, Dave.
I saw it, and it did not make it.
No, definitely did not
No,
make
that
it.
did.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I was talking. We were talking about the last shot that Allen made.
Okay.
Here it is again. Watch the ball. Does it make the front wall? I say yes.
I don't think it did.
Yes, clearly it does. See it hitting the front wall, coming down.
Hit that handle, please. Watch the handle there.
Look, right there. You see the ball hitting the wall?
Score is 23, serving 18.
They're actually replaying this, Dave.
Short.
I'm still not convinced that it made it, but it's our referee calling a replay instead of either a point or a side out, which I think was fair. If you're Alan Garner there, Dave, you just have to step in and flat roll that ball. You can't mess around and think that the point's over.
Replay there. John was going to be completely out of position. He ran forward to fly that. And if he wouldn't have ran into Allen, he would have looked really bad. There's another bit of congestion. Let's see if John looks back. Nothing. And now Alan Garner is serving.
That's your third and final timeout.
And the final timeout with John Iglesias taking another one here at the YMCA in Houston, Texas. It's the Race for 8. This match now officially 1 hour long. It's a one-game match to 25, and a lot of the criticism from those that have not really watched these one-game matches to 25, they would say, well, we want to sit through something that's more than 25 minutes. Well, it really isn't 25 minutes. You're seeing some of these competitive matches going 1 hour. We saw at the World Championships at the exhibition where they played one-game matches to 21. There were matches there that went 1 hour long. So it's all about competition. If you have fresh players, they go up against each other, and the fresh player can compete with some of these elite players, and that forces more side outs and a little bit more time on the clock, Dave. And I think, the fans like that, they certainly are able to see some more exciting handball and much quicker since the score is only 25. But
I think a lot of the criticism also, people think, well, you can't come back. If you get down, it's pretty much over. I don't find that to be the case.
Okay, we're going to resume.
I think you'll see some tournaments experimenting and staying with the 25-point format.
Now Alan Garner serving here to
That's the match. Alan
take it,
Garner,
and he does. 25-18, advancing over John Iglesias. We have Aaron Garner and Chip Morales coming up in a few, but first it'll be Abraham Montillo up against Andy Nett here on this live broadcast, I believe, Dave. I'm not looking at the schedule, but I will confirm that for you. That will be up in 10 minutes. You stick around. More Race for 8 action in Houston, Texas, alongside Dave Fink. My name is Dave Vincent. Stick with us. We'll be back in just a bit.
My name is Bruce Fabrizio. In 1975, I invented Simple Green based on 3 principles. It had to be safer to use, it had to work, and it had to be completely made in America. From generation to generation, Simple Green has been cleaning everything from car engines and tools to kitchen counters and floors. No matter what you clean, indoors or outdoors, clean it with non-toxic, biodegradable Simple Green.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.